Well, hi everyone. I'm John Redland with a double review of two Shudder films that I just watched. A Shudder original called The Beach House, and another flick that I found on there called The Bone Box. I want to praise Shudder really quickly though because I love that there's an all horror streaming service from, documentaries to movies to obscure movies to movies that I totally forgot about. They have some great series. They have a lot of really good stuff. So if you're a horror fan, I encourage you guys to check out Shudder. No, I am not sponsored. I just want to praise them because I do love me some good horror, some bad horror, some indifferent horror, some great horror, and some obscurely bad horror. So, with these two movies, like any multi-movie review that I do, there will be spoilers throughout. So, The Beach House. I saw, a couple clips from this and was like, okay, hey, Shudder can do some good exclusives and some good originals. And sometimes some movies that don't sound good in the description can actually be pretty good. Here's the problem. The Beach House has a neat little idea and doesn't really know how to follow up on it. Now, both these movies could be classified as slow burn because for a while it doesn't seem like much is happening. There's a young couple that goes to a beach house that the boy Randall, his dad, owns or runs, and he is trying to fix things with his girlfriend. She's studying oceanic life, oceanic biology, because she wants to know how creatures and organisms can survive in weird, environments and like environments that human beings could not possibly survive in. It almost sounds like that's foreshadowing 101. Turns out to be the case. They also meet a older couple, and one night they do edibles, and then a weird fog rolls in. And then also earlier in the movie, there was this weird, black goo microbe stuff that got released from some coral reefs. And suddenly while on edibles, there's this weird stuff in this weird gel and everything. It's like a bunch of melted jellyfish are suddenly, all around, and people breathe this shit in and they end up going insane, getting possessed and targeting people, eating people, possessing other people, whatever it is. Sometimes in a horror movie, what you don't know can scare you more. Here's the problem. When you have a small cast like this, you have to have some pretty good characters. And unfortunately, it's not even that the acting's bad. I'm not even saying that. The characters just aren't there. They're like basically just one-dimensional, like cardboard cutouts essentially that are in this horrific, series of events where basically the world's absolutely going to shit because maybe Mother Nature or Mother Earth has just fucking had it with our shit, and it's like, okay, I'm releasing stuff from the ocean, I'm gonna kill you guys. That's essentially what happens. So the young couple start, struggling to survive. People are like crawling around everything. They got, see the whites of their eyes and they're clearly possessed. The problem is the movie just kind of limps along and doesn't really have much to it. It's a neat little idea. The execution is sort of there, but there's like this one point where where the young woman has to dig a worm out of her foot because these microbes and and these organisms are trying to take over because again, Mother Earth has had enough of our shit. But there isn't really all that much to it. It's sort of atmospheric. The shots of the beach and everything, and the ocean water are very picturesque, very very well done. It's not that the movie's necessarily bad. It's just kind of basic and also very boring. I wasn't really scared by it at all. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say D. There were a couple bright spots, but this movie really didn't hold my interest all that much. So in the end, can't really recommend, though I do recommend a lot of other stuff on Shudder. Unfortunately, the Bone Box is not it. Now, the opening quote is, "He who digs a pit will fall into it." So basically, there is a guy that has gambling debts because he was trying to pay for his wife's medical bills. She dies from cancer, and he is trying something, smart, like grave robbing and stealing from people, and then selling off their stuff to pay off his gambling debts. And we kind of joined this in progress. And also, I do want to point out one thing. The opening part with the shaky cam and everything absolutely annoyed me. Now, I recognize that it's a cheap horror movie. I can't imagine the budget for this movie is very big. But when you do that kind of camera work, it kind of turns me off from the film. But I was willing to give it a chance, and I decided to watch it. Now, it took elements from Night Gallery, the painting where the guy kept getting closer. And this guy, Tom, is clearly being haunted by these ghosts, but nobody fucking believes him. So, okay, what in the world, what are they going to do to pad this fucking thing out for 85 more minutes? Well, they're going to have him, being haunted by all these people, and also he's got a boss guy that he owes money to because of the gambling debts. He's also got an aunt that he lives with because, a family member passed away, they're packing up the house, packing up belongings and stuff like that, and you think he's well intentioned. Here's the problem. He's also got a pseudo girlfriend or friend that has given him this information on freshly dead people, graves that he can dig up and, get these heirlooms from, or these objects they were buried in, and maybe get some money out of it. Because she's got an ulterior motive. She's trying to pay for a divorce and get her son away from an abusive husband. And I wanted to like this movie more than I did. I just didn't care much for the fact that the characters were just also kind of there. This was a little bit better than The Beach House, not by much. The tight claustrophobic feel of being in the house mainly was actually pretty nice, and plus it's cheaper. You only have one location to shoot in. And he does eventually get overtaken by the ghosts and does kill that one guy that was beating him up and trying to collect his gambling debts. And it was obvious that he was doing this. His life spiraled out of control after he lost his wife to cancer. So I can't necessarily say that the movie is bad, but also as a recent release, or at least released in 2020, I mean, I don't know how recent this could have been on Shudder for months because I haven't been able to watch as much of it as I wanted to, but this, the audio also was really bad. Here's what bothered me about the audio. Sometimes it seemed like people that were on camera, it's like the mic did not pick up on much of it. Like some people were muffled and they were maybe like 3 feet away from the camera. And I don't know if that was an equipment malfunction or what it was, but it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. That being said, there were some effective moments, but overall this movie was just kind of blah because the characters weren't really all that, they weren't really, they didn't have all that much depth. They were kind of cardboard cutouts as well. And you didn't have much sympathy for the guy, the main lead. Like, you really didn't. It's like, okay, he stole the stuff because he had gambling debts. Okay, well, if he'd been smarter, yes, with his wife's, hospital bills because she had cancer, obviously that shit piles up, but there are ways to do it without turning to crime. So that's really about it right there. And yeah, it gets a D. I mean, again, it was marginally better. And even The Beach House wasn't all that bad, but it was just very basic. And The Bone Box was also basic despite some stuff that they tried to do. So that's really all I got to say about that. So that's pretty much the end of that review right there. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've seen either of these movies, I'd love to hear from you guys. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.